Oh, we're live.
Oh,
yeah, I got the live message. Hey,
yay, we're live.
we're live.
Woohoo! We did it.
Yay.
Okay, so I guess, let's see. Private chat. Oh, okay, I have a, do you guys see a comments box?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. All right, awesome. Yay! Welcome to the Interstellar Book Club. Yay! We're starting. All right, so I guess as people come in, I should be able to see that here in the chat. Wait, show comments, show. Oh, that's how that works. All right, cool. All right. Okay, guys, yay, welcome. So I guess we should start off by introducing ourselves. So thank you to everybody who's watching. Welcome to the Interstellar Book Club. We are a monthly book club that reads sci-fi and just wants to have a lot of fun talking about sci-fi with a couple other book nerds. So we each have a YouTube channel that we run. I'm going to introduce myself, and then I guess we can kind of go in a clockwise circle and introduce ourselves and our channels. So my name's Steph. I run the channel Coffee Over Apples, which you are currently on. This month's book pick was The Space Between Worlds by Micaiah Johnson. And I'm so excited to talk to you guys about this. On my channel, I do lots of book reviews, but I also do speed drawings for my book reviews. I talk about manga, anime, and just try to have a good time and also talk about teaching life every once in a while. So yeah, I'm super excited. I guess I'm gonna pass it off to Jessa.
Okay. So hey, my name is Jessa, and I'm from the channel Gabbin with Jessa. On my channel, I do some book reviews. I have a lot of other ideas. I want to start more of a recommendations based on things that you like. I've been in the process of reading more, so I could be doing that. So hopefully more series like that will be coming soon. But I also every now and then talk about movies I've seen, just basically anything out in the world. But of course, I haven't really seen a lot of movies because of everything going on. I was super excited to get this. I just randomly picked it up from like my book of the month, and then we decided to do this book, and I was like, perfect. Like I just kind of picked this up on a whim, and then I loved it.
All right, next.
Cool. Hey, I'm Max. My channel is Max Reads, and it's like completely single book reviews. It's not always new stuff. It's just whatever the hell I feel like reading. Most of it's like 70s, 80s pulp crap, but it's all really good. Unless I say it's not really good, but I will be very honest with you. I didn't hear of this at all. That's the UK cover, by the way. I didn't hear about this at all until it was mentioned in the group, but I'm so glad it was recommended because this book was freaking good. Really cool.
Woo.
Next one.
Yeah, Melody.
Hi, I'm Melody. My channel is stawberrylemonbbooks, and my channel is kind of all over the place. I haven't really been uploading because of school, but I do book reviews, a lot of TBR videos, vlogs, and I've been watching a lot of TV and dramas, so I might start doing videos on that. And I'm just so excited to read this book. Pretty sure I found it on Goodreads. I was just looking up sci-fi books to read, and it was one of the books, so I'm glad we picked it.
Yay, thank you. Were you the one who started this?
Yeah, I think it was on, I like listed it as one of them.
Okay.
Good choice.
Good choice. It was so good. Okay. All right. So I figure like for the first like minute or so before we start getting into, we'll talk about non-spoiler stuff in a second, and then eventually we will move into spoilers. So I just kind of had some like get to know us kind of questions. I only have 3 so far. One is a general booktube question, and then 2 are more sci-fi related. So to anyone who wants to answer, so what got you into booktubing?
Quarantine. Absolutely, yeah. Like just being stuck in my house 24/7. I was like, I'm doing so much reading. I feel like I should do something constructive with this. And it'd be so great to just talk to other people in like a time of 2020 where you literally can't talk to anybody in real life. So
yes, I totally agree. Yeah, quarantine totally set that off. I mean, I was thinking about doing a booktube for the longest time,
yeah.
but in quarantine, it was like, okay, now there's no excuse. Now, like this is the best way.
I feel like there's going to be like a really big wave of booktubers that started now, and there's some really good ones that I've come across that have started at like the same time as us.
Yeah, I don't know what generation this would be of booktubers. I know people talk about generation sometimes,
Yeah.
but yeah, there's a lot of really good content now. It's like you can just watch booktube all day and not run out of content.
Right.
Okay, so my next question to you guys is, what is your favorite sci-fi book? And why? Whoever wants to answer.
It's like,
I know it's a hard question.
and I always confuse like dystopian and sci-fi. I've always kind of put them in like the same category. So like when I read like The Hunger Games for the first time, like I loved that. And I've recently read the first 2 books of like the Scythe trilogy. And
I need to read that.
those like I loved. I would consider that it's definitely more dystopian, but it does remind me of sci-fi too. And so just like the idea of everyone being able to live, and then there's these people that are their job is to kill other people because you can't have overpopulation. So, and you get to like reverse how old you are. So if I was 60 years old, I could reverse back to looking like I was 20. And so just the idea of living forever and then having specific people, like that's their job, is to kill people as they choose depending on their practices. So I've really liked the Scythe trilogy, which I kind of consider sci-fi.
Oh, I did not even know. So I've heard of that, but I didn't know that you could reverse your age. So does that mean that you're, even though you look like you're 20, are you still technically 60, or are you now technically 20?
I think you're still technically like whatever age you are. You just kind of like, they tell you there's something with like, oh, I've reversed like 3 times in my life or something like that kind of thing. So they kind of go back on like, oh, I've reversed X amount of times. So
Oh,
Sounds cool.
Crazy.
That's really cool. That might be a good pick.
Yeah, it's been on my TBR for so long.
Mine too, actually. I never got around to it because I just didn't want to start any more series. Does anyone else want to share their favorite before I move on to the next question? My favorite is, I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's called Everything Matters by Ron Curry Jr.
Never heard of it.
It's a standalone, but it's about this boy who, it kind of follows him from the moment he was conceived until his entire life. And the moment he was born, he knows that when he turns 36 years old, there's a meteor that's going to come and create the apocalypse. But he doesn't know how he knows, and he doesn't have anyone that believes him. So it's like, how do you grow up knowing how the world is going to end? And like, what decisions do you make?
That sounds really good too, yeah.
Okay, and then my last question is, before we jump into non-spoilers, is if you could be stuck in one sci-fi movie, what would it be?
One sci-fi movie. I think I would be in one of the Men in Black movies.
Oh, that's a good one.
Do I need to explain? It's just so cool.
That's a good choice.
That is a really good choice. Yeah, everything else I kind of thought of was like, oh no, I'd probably die in that one.
Yeah, there's always like some really depressing aspect to it. You're like, no thanks.
That's a really good choice. I think I'm going to pick your choice too.
Yes, to join me.
Okay, so should we talk about non-spoilers now for the first, I don't know how long, like maybe a couple minutes?
We can do our best, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Who wants to go first? I don't even know where to start.
We can give like a summary of what it's about. That's probably non-spoiler, I guess.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Okay.
Yeah.
Who wants to do that? Because I feel like after reading this and then looking back at my description in my announcement video, I was like way off.
I can try.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So it's set in the future, I assume, or like an alternate Earth that's a bit further along. And it's this guy's discovered the existence of parallel worlds and how to travel between them. But you can't travel to a parallel world if the you in that parallel world is still alive. So they have to use people from really disadvantaged backgrounds who, against all the odds, have survived through their whole life, and it's almost impossible that they're even here. So the chances of them in the other worlds are really, really low. It's about this woman who, and they're called traversers. It's about a woman who is hired by the agency, which is called Eldridge. Is it the Eldridge Company?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Travel between worlds, gather information for companies, and sort of source resources that can be brought to our world without depleting our own Earth. I guess that's the premise.
Mhm.
Great explanation. that's all those single book reviews coming through right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
What,
So,
spoiler free?
yes. So I was thinking maybe we could talk about like what trigger warnings were in the book, so people who haven't read it and end up watching this video could kind of know before they go into reading it. I guess the major one that I saw, would it be considered domestic abuse or domestic violence?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you guys can think of any other ones. I feel like that was the big one.
Oh, I would say just general violence on top of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. There's a little bit of gore involved.
Not much gore.
Yeah,
But
not
there's enough in there to be like, if you don't like it, then it could put you off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely not graphic. It's just like mentioned. So I mean, I have a stronger stomach, and so sometimes I just kind of like, even with like gory stuff, it goes over my head. But I wouldn't consider this anything bad. So
yeah, it's not like a horror story.
Right.
No way.
Would it be more considered like thriller? Is that safe to say?
Thriller, yeah, I guess. But like sometimes with sci-fi, you get sci-fi where the story's the same regardless of the backdrop. I feel like the world build in this one was so integral to the story. That's one of the things I really liked about it. But yeah, definitely a thriller, but like a thriller that you can't take the sci-fi out of.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And then also, I guess something that I look for when I'm choosing books is whether it's plot driven or character driven. What did you guys feel about this one?
Definitely character.
Yeah. I don't usually read a lot of character driven books. I'm more of a plot reader, but I enjoyed the fact that I had no idea what was going to happen. I thought I knew. I was like, oh, no, sorry.
You never know.
I know it's mentioned in the synopsis that the main character, Kara, is in a. Is it mentioned that she's in a relationship, or that? How do we know that this was a sapphic romance?
It says in mine that she like unashamedly flirts with her hand.
Yeah. So like, I feel like the romance played such a large portion of it. I don't know how to knock it into.
Like you can't even say much about the romance.
Huh?
You can't even say much about the romance because that's such. You could give a lot away.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know what else to say without being spoilery. I'm just like,
Did you like the main character?
It wasn't until the second half of the book where I was really rooting for her. How did you like her?
I liked her right at the start, and then there was like the first third of it. I think I was like, "Oh, come on, like, put it on a bit." But yeah, towards the end, it's like, "Whoa, like this is a really cool person."
Yeah, I agree. I think like in the beginning when I was kind of setting things up, I don't know if there was enough information to really at least pull me into her character.
Yeah.
The second half.
I think that's what I was feeling too. Just like I had to reread a lot of the beginning parts just because I was trying to like figure out like how these worlds work or whatever and what was going on. So I wasn't really into the characters as much as I would have liked to be at first. But then definitely when more things started happening, I got everyone lined up with how everything is supposed to roll. I was like, okay, now I can finally like really enjoy these characters.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, we have a question. What is your opinion on the new HBO sci-fi series? I don't even know what that series is based on.
Oh, that's the Ridley Scott one. That's the one directed by Ridley Scott.
Oh, I did not know that.
I think it's only the second TV series that he's ever done after Taboo, which was also really cool. It looks good, but I haven't watched it. But the stills look really good from it.
Okay, cool. Has anybody else watched it or no?
Mm-mm.
Okay, maybe we can make that like a goal to watch that. Thanks for the recommendation. Okay, yeah. What did you guys think about? Let me look at these list of questions, these book club questions, and see if there's anything here that we can talk about without being spoilery.
Ooh, did you guys have a favorite character?
Oh,
yeah, I did.
Me too.
who is your
I
favorite character?
really liked Johnson Ogre.
Yeah.
I really liked him.
Yeah.
Oh, my heart. I actually really liked the villain in this story.
Yeah, right?
Mhm.
It was a really good villain, and I didn't feel like the ending was like some Deus Ex Machina where the villain came out of nowhere. Like it felt like there was a lot of build up, but in a direction that you totally had let just go completely over your head.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like when we kind of found out who the villain was, at first I was a little put off, like, oh, how can this be really convenient?
Yeah.
And at the same time, once we got more information about how the world was working, I was like, oh no, that makes perfect sense.
Definitely.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. Should we dive into spoilers? I'm so anxious.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like there's a lot of stuff I need to get off my chest.
Okay. Who wants to go first? Spoiler time.
Well, I guess just kind of like at the beginning, I like the commentary on how like people of different races or of different backgrounds, wealth backgrounds, are kind of like looked at in this story. Obviously, like we know that they take them from poorer parts of the area to become transversers just because they haven't lived in many other worlds, or they don't make it to live in a lot of other worlds. So sometimes I don't like books where like it's thrown at me, like where, they're definitely trying to get some kind of a message to me and it's like in my face the entire time. But this one, I didn't think it was like that at all. And I think that really made me appreciate it and enjoy it a lot more.
Yeah, I totally agree. I thought that social commentary just about class, race, there was talked about cultural appropriation. I think once I was like, oh, this is so like hard hitting. Oh my God.
Everything.
One thing on the cultural side of it, I feel like it's a big message that when you're in one society, you stop seeing people from another society as people. And there was like the parallel there between Ashtown and Wiley City, but also between this Earth and the other Earth, in terms of like how Adam Bosch was looking at people as obstacles and resources. And I feel like there's a big message in it for me of like heritage pride, because I feel like with Kara being the only one in Wiley City that was holding on to the fact that she was from Ashtown, that was what was keeping all the Ashtowners as family, as people in her minds. So I feel like there's a message of like heritage pride in there, that be proud of where you're from.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely see that. Especially when there were when Kara was intermingling with Delmore and they were kind of getting to know each other's worlds and each other's backgrounds and getting rid of those preconceived notions that they had of each other. Really kind of understanding what it means to come to terms with that history that you carry with you, and those prejudices that you might not have been aware that you had when you came into this new life that she was living. And like, I'm not even talking about the fact that we had two Karas, but even just the original Kara, when we learned more about her background from the diary, well, when she was talking about the diary and when she was learning about how Kara Lee was different from Kara Menta, just like the actions that Kara Menta took towards Del that ruined that relationship kind of showed her preconceived prejudices from when she, even though she was working to move up within this ladder, this corporate ladder, she always carried it with her. So I was like, oh, that's so interesting.
But even people from that background who have left that background and are just in like complete denial that that's where they're from and they're just trying to shake it off.
Yeah.
Really, it's a message that that's an unhealthy thing to do.
Yeah. Let's see, we have a comment. If I can be in a sci-fi movie, put me in that.
Dude,
Actually, the
same.
world from that is only good if you have the car. If you don't have the car, it's just regular Earth.
Right? This is normal life. But then also which Back to the Future too, because I wasn't the third one where he went to like the 1700s or something.
Mhm.
Oh, I love the cowboy one.
Oh yeah, that was fun, but I don't want to
Really
get oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, so where should we jump to next? I mean, there was a lot of social commentary, like we said. I mean, oh my gosh, I gotta go back to some of my tabs in this annotation.
Oh, I have a question for you three, actually. Yeah. It never actually specifies, where do you think it's set?
That's a great question.
Because I have two theories about where it's set. So they mentioned in the wastes there are crocodiles, which instantly makes me think it's Africa.
I was thinking Australia.
Oh, maybe.
But that's a great point.
Even the name Wiley City does sound Australian, thinking about it. That sounds like an Aussie slang term.
Yeah.
But another one for me that like confused me a bit was when Jean mentioned a Purple Heart, which is an American medal.
True.
So it could be like an American outpost or like a neo-colonial thing that just completely shifted purpose and became something different.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was trying to puzzle it out for the whole thing. I was like, where is this?
Yeah, that's a good
I
point.
didn't think about that.
I didn't even think about it either. I guess just because I see this and I'm like, oh, it's just like different
Like
Earths.
here.
And I'm just kind of like, I just don't think about it. I'm like, okay, it's another planet. And then just go off on it.
True. That's true, because the whole time I think me and Max were trying to figure out like where on our Earth it is, but it never said that it was our Earth. Like their planet zero, their Earth zero.
What if we're not Earth? Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
We could be from like Earth 700 something.
Yes.
I
Okay.
didn't even think of that. Yeah.
Okay, so did I understand this correctly? So like there's an infinite amount of multiverses, but there was 372 because those are the ones that are closest to Caramenta's light at that moment.
I think that instead of Caramenta's, I think it's because Adam Bosch is the one doing the looking. It's probably the ones that are just the closest to Eldridge. I think the ones that are closest to having figured out multiverse travel.
That makes sense.
Which means, but on that same page, that would mean that Del and Kara and Adam and like Nick are all tied into that. So it's like them as a group, I think, is what's defining the differentiation. I guess. I'm not sure. I have no idea.
But then there was that one Earth that was like bombed and they couldn't like talk to them anymore or travel there.
Oh, you know, the one bit that like really messed me up was the one Earth. She describes for like a paragraph where Del is from Ashtown.
Yes.
Did I miss that? Wait, which one is that?
Yeah, that's where
she goes to see. Yeah. She gets it from Del when she's living in like a slum. And she takes Del food, and Del's like, "Get the fuck out of here." Sorry, I shouldn't swear on live.
It's okay.
You know what I mean.
I'll check the not for kids box when I post this. But like,
yeah,
okay,
I love that. That was
is
so
that the same? That's not the same Earth where she had a relationship with the alternate Del, right?
No, it was like a throwaway. It seemed like a really throwaway line until you realize who she was talking about. You're like, oh damn, like fall from grace much.
Oh wait, that wasn't her mom.
That was Del.
No.
Oh, whoa, that went right over the head.
At least I'm like 99% sure it was Del.
Yeah.
No, you're probably right, because I was like, oh, she's so like sentimental when it comes to her mom, so that's why I thought that it would say to her mom. But then looking back, that makes much more sense.
On the like the page of Del, do you feel like it was a genuine I'm in love with Del, or do you think she pieced together so many pieces of affection for all these various people that she was just making a lot of assumptions about the Del from her world? Or do you feel like it really was a genuine, because she's saying like, I love this one, but she doesn't know why she loves that one. She just knows why she loves all these other ones.
That's true. That's true.
Like, it's like, it was,
really, like,
it could have been very open. It could have been either way.
yeah. I thought she seemed like really fixated on Del to a point that like it might not really be healthy that she's like in love with Del.
Yes, I agree. I was wondering if for a little while, like the actions that she was doing were very romantic, but is it for the sake of convenience? Because that's the only person that she seems to have a relationship in Wiley City with.
Maybe, but then you're thinking about what kind of things could lead to romance.
Yeah.
Like it could very well become love at some point. Just because it didn't start as love, it doesn't really matter in the end.
Yeah. It's true. I don't know, but she was really obsessed with Del. And then when we finally understood that Del had similar emotions, and then there was that tension for I don't know how many chapters that was. I was like, can we just talk to each other?
I didn't see that coming at all.
No, when Del explained to her how
the other one, Cara. Oh.
So frustrating. But then that whole kind of realization that Cara Lee had of she thought that just because she was the same person that she would fit in so neatly, and that she completely realized that she sucked at being herself or who she thought she was.
Yeah.
If we were ever put in that kind of situation, would we be able to blend in as ourselves?
No way. I feel like I'd be falling over everything.
I feel like I'd like to think that I could, but
no.
Probably not.
I don't think so. I don't think I would have made it.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm surprised that she had the amount of courage that it would take to, one, not go back to Ash, to like her where she came up from, where she already is maybe familiar with those customs, but at least she might be able to blend by a little bit more. It's like, I'm just gonna stay here in this high-tech city. I know nothing about technology. I would have been like, no, I'm going back. No way. Is there any other part you guys wanted to talk about before I probe in more questions or anything?
One bit I really liked was at the start of each part of the book, where it had the dialogue between science and religion.
Yes.
I really like that.
Oh my god.
You're trying to find differences, but really you're both striving for the same thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, that was very, very cool.
I agree. There were also a lot of good quotes in here in the beginning of some of the sections. Like there was that one quote from Michio Kaku where he was talking about black holes being a disc. And
yeah, when you fall through the ring.
What book
that was so cool. I think it's called Physics of the Impossible.
Is that what it's called? Okay, I'm
I
writing
think that's what it's called.
Because I was Googling that line and I couldn't figure out if it was from a book or from a talk show that he might have done. I was like, I don't know.
He's got a set of 3. He's got Physics of the Impossible, Physics of the Mind, and Physics of the Future. So I'm pretty sure it's from one of them.
Okay. Have you guys read that already?
No, I've watched some of his stuff on TV and he's such a cool guy.
Oh my gosh. Just go out for coffee with Michio Kaku. Just be like, please.
Him and Neil deGrasse Tyson are like my OTP.
Yes, Neil deGrasse also.
I think I read it for my physics class in high school, but I don't remember it anymore. Because I didn't understand physics. So I was like, what are you trying to tell me?
Yeah, I think it was Neil deGrasse Tyson might have said, like, if your brain doesn't hurt when you're studying quantum physics, then you're not doing it correctly.
I must be doing it correctly then.
I hope you got an A in that class.
It was like a book report thing, so it was all good.
Also, like, the whole idea of, I don't know how you say it, Naima, the spiritual being that they associated with the black space, or I'm assuming it was dark matter, or I don't know if that's even the right relation to what that space that she was talking about, but how she was trying to find a way to relate it back to her roots just to kind of make sense to it, and even though she is now in a position where she has more technological and scientific information than her family back home, that she was still drawing those parallels. I don't know. Does anyone have anything to say about that?
I think one thing about I would have said Niame. I have no idea how it's pronounced either. But I think when you look back at like, this is going to sound like I'm going off topic, but I'm not going off topic. So you look back at like really early humans, and they're like, something impossible will assign a deity to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the sun is rising, we don't know why, there must be a sun god.
Mm-hmm.
Or the river's clean, there must be a god of this river keeping it clean.
Mm-hmm.
Assigning spiritualism to stuff you don't understand is a very human thing to do. And I think it's interesting. And I think it definitely would carry on like this in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's sort of what it is like your brain trying to find a way to understand something that you're not built to understand at all.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the void. So it like in your mind, that takes the shape of a goddess, because that's what you can relate to it. Like you said, it's relating it back to her roots in Ashtown.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that felt very human to me, and I liked it a lot.
I like the way that you explained that. That actually makes a lot of sense. What was like a aha moment or like a brain exploding moment in the book for you guys? Like what stuck out the most?
I was not expecting her to have been like not the Kara from her world. Like when they went to the flashback of her like picking the clothes from her dead body, I was like, what?
It's like, no, that's me. I don't know if I would be able to do that to myself. Just be more stuck on the fact that that's me.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting when she was in the world with Nelline, the other Kara that's not a Kara,
Mm-hmm.
but like seeing how other people would see her from the outside as just like pure survival instinct. I thought that was really interesting. And it must be difficult to see yourself as something that's like not likable at all, but is like a functional tool.
Yes, I agree. That might have been the most challenging portion of the book for her.
I think so. Yeah.
So this might sound really bad, but I was bored up until Nelline ran into the thing with the port with her, and everything that took off after that. I was like, whoa.
I was worried that world was just going to not get mentioned again.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that she went back.
Yeah.
That, like, she got proper closure on that later on.
Yeah, I agree. Like I was actually worried that we were going to stay in that world, and then we were not going to go back to like get more of any world or back to the original Eldred. So I was happy that it kind of like flopped.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a little bit of both.
What was the biggest twist for you?
I don't know. Let me think. What do you guys think was the biggest twist?
I don't know. Again, like, I don't know, maybe if it wasn't a twist, but kind of like what Melody said about, like, picking the clothes, like, off, like, her own dead body. Like, I don't know. Like, it was also, like, a shock, but I was just, like, I was just not expecting to have to, like, do something like that. And so I was just, like, what is going on? Like, I don't know. This whole book, I was just, like, my mind has been, like, turned to mush a little bit. But, like, that specifically, I was like, what the heck?
I feel like the moment that we found out that Adam was, I don't know how to say some of these names. Adnick. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly. But the moment that we found out that he was the brother, that was the moment that I was like, okay, everyone's really interconnected, which is when I got nervous thinking, okay, this could either become really cliche or this can go in a completely different direction that I have no idea what's going to happen, and it's going to be awesome. So I'm happy to say it was the later one. But I think when she went to meet him at the garden, after Jean told her don't go to the meeting and she went anyway, and she kind of finds out that, okay, this guy is not who I thought he was, and how strategic he was in kind of cornering her. I remember thinking in that moment, like, if I was the writer, I just wrote myself into a box. Like, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this situation.
And the fact that she was like glorifying him so much up until that one page, and then it was just like, nope, just completely taken away.
Yeah.
Oh, it was done so well, really well.
It was kind of like ripping off a bandage. I was like, oh, I
Yeah.
love that. That was so hard.
I was reading it like,
I was not expecting that he purposely sent Kara to the world to kill her so that hopefully
Yeah.
Kara would come back. I was like,
the fact that he knew the whole time that she was the Earth Zero one as well.
Yes. But why her? Like, is it because of the relationship that he knew he had with her on other worlds? Is that why he chose her?
I think it said that it's because she had the thing that went on with Dell, and then she kind of really pulled back from her work and became a less good traverser. So I think he was just like, no, throw you away, get a new one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
There's one thing that blew my mind as well, was like how all these people that are from these disadvantaged backgrounds are literally the key to doing this. Like, you can't do it without them, and you still just treat them like tools.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That was crazy.
That was like, it kind of leads to so many other systems that we have in society, as far as like, how do you build a workforce, or how do you find cheap and inexpensive labor, and then what are the initial costs when you first have any kind of scientific venture. Like, I was thinking about who was it the SpaceX, when they first didn't they first send like a car or whatever things that
it was SpaceX.
Yeah. But I was like, okay, so did they not do test runs? Then I think they might have mentioned doing like one test run with an animal or something. But then how many scientists did they I don't want to say sacrifice, but like, how many scientists did it take before they realized, okay, we need to find another solution, but then this is a solution that they chose doesn't seem much better, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's just like, I was in a humanities class like in high school, and we were talking about like, we respect doctors more than we respect garbage men. And they're like, well, why do we do that? And we're like, oh, doctors go to a lot of school, they know how to save lives, kind of things. And then my teacher brought up the point, and this kind of like reminded me when we were reading this, was that like, okay, so maybe those garbage men don't have much education, or maybe, just luck would have it that that's where they ended up. But it's not healthy for you and your family to keep your garbage in your house all the time. Like, that builds up, then things grow, bacteria grows, things like that. So they work every day of the week, just like doctors, like 5 days a week. Granted, they may only come to your house once a week, but that doesn't mean they're only working once a week. And you need to like get that out of your house, because it's not healthy. It's not safe for you to keep garbage in your house. And so why do we look down upon them? Yeah, they may drive a truck that smells and picks up stuff that you don't want anymore, but that doesn't mean that they're lesser of people, or that they're not as important, because they're just as important to your daily lives as a doctor would be.
Yeah, I think that's a really good conversation to have, and that's kind of like the general theme within the story itself. Like, what is the value of life, and how do you put a value on it? What were you gonna say?
No, it was just like, intense conversation topic.
I didn't think that it was gonna get this intense with the social commentary, but it was there. Like,
it didn't feel like it had an agenda, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it didn't feel
not at all.
You're right, and that's actually really nice. Like, because usually a lot of books that are more contemporary books. I mean, I don't personally read a lot of contemporary. I don't know if you guys do, but it has like, it's clear, like, what the message is and what it's trying to say. But this is just like, here's information. We get some of the characters' opinions, but ultimately you kind of form your own opinion. That's how I felt about it. Also, the scene where they were doing the burial ritual, I thought I was actually very calming. Like, those 2 pages where they were explaining what Esther was doing for Nalene's body. I don't know. I just really enjoyed that scene, but I can't put the words as to why I enjoyed it. Maybe it was a nice break from all of like the sci-fi and the jumping around and the craziness. It was like this very calming moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's see. One of the questions is, did you find yourself like rereading any passages or any passages that you were stuck on and were kind of like mulling over for a while?
I think just for me, it was just like the beginning, because sometimes I need to reread things when it's like a world I'm not familiar with, and that goes with anything like dystopian or fantasy. Sometimes I'm like, wait, what is going on? Especially if it's like the first book in a series and it just like dives right into it. And I'm like, okay, wait, hold on a sec. I got to figure out like, what's this magic system, or how's the government work or something like that. Like, so definitely in the beginning, I was like, okay, let me try to figure this out. Like with the whole jumping from world to world thing and having more than one of you, like that I kind of got from like Marvel and stuff when they talk about multiverses. I know like the most recent Spider-Man movie was mentioning multiverses, but even with that, it's like sci-fi can go in two completely different ways of how just because the multiverse in Spider-Man is a thing doesn't mean those same rules apply to the multiverse in this book. So
okay, yeah, I agree. I think it's just in the beginning, like trying to understand how they were setting up. But I also kind of like that even though in the beginning of the book it was really setting up the world, that I feel like even towards the end we were still getting world building like throughout the entire story. Like
it wasn't an info dump at all.
Yeah.
Very easily could have been, but it wasn't.
Yes, I enjoyed that a lot, that it wasn't that info dump. It's just like chunk of information, now go. It was like, no.
Yeah. I felt like you had to figure out a lot from context, which it takes a lot of skill to do that, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And then also, I feel like I really enjoyed the ending. Did you guys enjoy the ending?
Yeah, I really liked it. Yeah.
Like I thought it was going to be some sort of huge ensuing battle, kind of like trying to figure out where the climax was, but I felt like it was it was subtle and it was just enough. I don't know.
I have like 2 bones to pick with the ending.
Okay.
Like, it didn't like detract from my enjoyment of the ending because I still really liked the way the book came to a close. But there were 2 bits. So I was, when you're reading something, you're like, come on. Yeah. The first one was where she talks the whole time about having the sample of Lot's wife in her room, the plague, and she's constantly hammering in like how easily it's spread. Surely she's just made somebody who is a walking spreader of Lot's wife.
True.
She's either like purposely doomed the world, or she's totally trusting the safety of the world to Adam Bosch, which seems really unrealistic. Like that thing, I was like, I don't understand. I feel like you could have done it a slightly different way rather than use something that you've been telling us how deadly it is to, like, if one speck of it got here, everything would be ruined.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how it was spread. Like, I don't remember how they explained that.
I think like a fungus, like it's spores or something.
Yeah. Well, she put it in his eye drops, right?
So I don't know if like people are transmitted or if it's just the fungus itself.
But then wouldn't that make his eye drops really chunky and not liquidy?
Oh, gross. Imagine chunky eye drops.
That's so gross.
And then when he's putting it in his eye, wouldn't he be like, oh, this is probably expired. Let me throw it out and get another one. No, he's just like, no, I'm going to keep putting it in my eye.
She doesn't have any materials to like dissolve it either.
No.
Oh my god.
No, yeah, I agree. What was the second one that you had to pick at the end?
Oh, the second one's like a really tiny one, but I feel like it's like a fair one. I feel like it's probably not that hard to reinvent a gun.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Especially since they have the runners, who are literally a legion of engineers who make cars. And you've just given Nick a gun. He could like take it apart and make a new one that's exactly the same.
He could.
I feel like you could easily make more guns from one gun.
And the amount of engineers in this world, like none of them know how to make guns.
Right? I feel like humanity wouldn't be that easy to control.
Yeah.
You would like all weapons banned. Like, okay.
the question is like, who is enforcing this no weapons if the runners are able to get away with everything that they can get away with, and Adam is able to get away with all this like cyber inter-traveling murder? Who is controlling the guns?
Right. And I'm sure if it's like a ban on weapons that kill at a distance, surely you can just make like a bow.
It's true.
I feel like I'm just being really fussy though, like I'm picking holes. Like, really, I don't want to like make people think I didn't enjoy this book because I really liked it.
It's just like a little, because it's
Tiny little bits.
job of not leaving. I feel like it did a good job of not leaving many gaps or loops.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, we found one.
Yeah. There were no big problems, so we're just picking up like the problem.
No, I agree, because they made it sound like it had been so many, I don't know, 2 or 3 generations or something since anybody.
At least, yeah, at least.
It's like, oh, that's a really long time. I'm surprised.
Speaking of like the generations gone, I really liked how it wasn't like post mystery disaster. How it like, literally was like this happened, then this happened, then this happened. That's how it all messed up, and this is where we are now. I like that it didn't leave you to fill in the gaps, and it gave you a timeline. I thought that was really nice.
Yeah,
she could have been very lazy with that, but she wasn't.
Yeah, I like that too. Like how in some other, and usually like dystopian fiction, it would tell you like, oh, there was a plague. This is what happened. Now we're dealing with the aftermath. But it's very much it makes sense. This could actually happen.
It's like there are still ripples of the thing.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Okay, so a small little like thing, maybe I misunderstood, but I feel like when she hired the runners and Nick, the Earth Zero Nick to invade Adam's mansion, I felt like that was a little too easy. Like maybe I misunderstood, but I feel like because they went out, he caused a distraction. But like, how convenient is it that they were able to just kind of pick a lock, go up the stairway, pick a lock, and like, oh, we're in his house. Now I'm gonna.
Go on. What were you gonna say?
I was just like, maybe I misunderstood it, but maybe you can clarify that for me.
I feel like for me that was hammering in the point that just because Nick is from Ashtown doesn't mean he's not smart as hell.
That's true.
He is a really clever guy. And the way he manipulates people, the way he is a leader, and the way that was just effortless for him. And the fact that it does mention as well that like they built Wiley City, the generation that made it, so they're going to be the people that know the loopholes, I think.
Oh, that's true. Which means that they can build guns because they have that too.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like Adam, he's been in Wiley City for so long. He kind of has that sense of security that like nobody's really gonna attack him. So he doesn't need as much security against things. Because he's like, no Ashtowner is gonna come into my house, you know?
That's true. I feel like maybe it's because I've read too many books recently that have that similar thing where the villain's like, I'm all powerful, no one's gonna try to mess with me, and then here they come, and they finally like, oh no. We've just read too much of that lately. Any other qualms that we had with this? No. Any other mind-blowing moments that we want to talk about?
The bit that really upset me was when Jean died. I really like. If we're in spoiler territory now.
So sad.
I didn't think he would.
No.
He was gonna get some kind of closure on like everything because I feel like he deserved it.
He did.
And then it was just completely he got nothing. It made me so mad.
Oh, so I just feel bad. He was so sweet, sweet old man. I'm like, no. Okay, does anyone else have anything you want to chime in before I like find another related question? No.
How did you guys feel about Earth 175 Nick?
That was the nice Nick, right?
Yeah.
I was just as thrown as she was. Like for the first part, she like didn't trust him. Like, yeah, I don't either. Like, I wouldn't do that either.
Yeah, the fact that she helped him to gain power, I was kind of nervous. Like, are you sure this is a smart?
Mm.
But then again, I don't know, because it kind of feels like the atom that's on Earth 0 could have potentially been equal to the Nick that was on 175. Like, this was a positive version
Yeah.
that way. So I'm like, so that could have totally not worked out in her favor. It's like, I don't know. I feel nervous.
Yeah, I was like, what if she goes back and like the whole world is just like ruined after because he's in power now?
Okay, so would you guys have done what she did? Would you guys have helped, or would you have left?
I think I like to think I would help. I like
Right.
Yeah.
Am I the only one who've been like, I am so out of here? Because I feel like there were so many times that she could have easily died. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this could go so wrong. Oh no. Okay, so is this book overrated or underrated? I don't know. I haven't really looked too much. I guess I could look at what was you guys' ratings on this? What are you giving this on Goodreads?
4.
4. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
4.5 for me.
4.5.
Okay. Cry. If a book makes me cry, it's a 4.5.
Let's see what the Goodreads rating is, and if we're anywhere near that. Okay, it's a 4.01. Okay, so
Okay.
we're in the general consensus. All right, I like that.
It's a debut novel, right?
I was about to ask the same thing. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think she's had anything else before, so I was about to ask the same thing.
Yeah, it says it came out August 4th. Fairly new. Okay.
We're on the ball with this one. We're on the ball.
Yeah, good start. I'm gonna feel bad. Like, what happens if we choose a book that we all are like, this is a 1, and then we just spend the whole video ranting? Oh no, the pressure is on.
I feel like I got this from like the month for August, and I like to watch a lot of like unboxings of like people who do get like book of the month ones. Not the ones where they get like all of them, but like they specifically just pick one. And I didn't see anyone just pick this one up. I forget what the other picks were that month, but I definitely didn't see this as much as I would have liked to.
Yeah.
For those who just get 1 or 2 books a month from book of the month, they're not like, they don't get like all of them or anything like that. And so I think it's underrated. I think that more people should pick this one up.
I agree. I definitely agree. Do you still?
I haven't heard a lot of people reading it.
No, me neither.
No.
I'm surprised. I'm so surprised. Actually, when I was perusing the shelves in Barnes & Noble, I saw so many other titles, and I'm like, oh, I heard that on BookTube, and I heard this on BookTube, and then I found ours, and I was like, wow. Let's see. Any other things we want to talk about before we, I guess, when we close this up, we could just briefly mention, because this video is going to go up on my channel, like what our pick for next month is. Would anybody consider rereading this?
Yeah, I definitely think so.
I would.
I feel like there's probably a lot of foreshadowing that went over my head the first time that I didn't pick up on.
Yeah.
So I think the second time you might notice more things.
And definitely just trying to read it again with a little less confusion of how things understand. So that way I can understand, maybe dive more into the actual world that we're in, maybe read it more from like hopefully a plot perspective rather than, I know it's character driven, but maybe try to read it more for the plot and see if, now that I understand it better, if I can find more things in there.
Yeah, I agree. I think it definitely deserves a second pass. Let's see. Let's see. How does the book's title work in relation to the book's contents? I feel like there's a lot of title dropping in here.
Yeah.
Like consistently. But I was okay with it.
Yeah, me too. I didn't care.
I didn't mind it. Okay. Does anybody else have any other things they want to mention about the book before we wrap it up?
Oh, I was going to say I looked up Micaiah Johnson
Okay.
just to see if she'd written anything else, and apparently, I think we can expect a lot more sci-fi from her
Ooh.
because she's currently doing a PhD, and the PhD topic is called race and robots, which I think is pretty cool. So I feel like she's like deep in the sci-fi game already.
Nice.
Ooh, love that.
Okay, I love that. Oh, yay! I'm so excited.
Twice.
For a debut. This was really good.
So good.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So if there's not anything else anyone else wants to add before we talk about our next pick, yay!
Nope, I think we're done.
Okay, we're good. Yay! Okay, so Max is the host for next month's live show. Yay! Over on his channel, Max Reads, and Max has chosen a really awesome new release called Phoenix Extravaganza. Max, do you want to tell us anything that you know about the book so far? Or from the description?
Honestly, I picked it up based on the cover, which is so cool. The cover is like gorgeous, but I know it feels like it's fantasy sci-fi borderline, but I don't feel like it's too fantasy for this book group. It's definitely a lot about like machinery and robotics and stuff. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of political gender stuff in there as well, which could be really, really interesting to read.
Something about giant robots. Should I
Oh,
read
yeah.
The mechanic dragon.
Yes. Should I read the description off of Goodreads?
Yes, do it.
Okay, cool. So for anybody who's interested, oh, this cover looks so cool. It's got a giant dragon. It's making me think of like mecha anime kind of stuff. But it says, I don't know how to say this name. It's about dragons, art, and revolution. Like, what more do we need? This sounds so cool. Okay. Gen Jebi isn't a fighter or a subversive. They just want to paint. One day they're jobless and desperate. The next, Jebi finds himself recruited by the Ministry of Armor to paint the mystical sigils that animate the occupying government's automaton soldiers. But when Jebi discovers the depths of the Razane government's horrifying crimes and the awful source of the magical pigments they use, they find they can no longer stay out of politics. What they do is steal Arazi, the mystery's mighty dragon automaton, and find a way to fight. Okay, this is like about dragons fighting robots in art. This is like fine, right? It's so good. Like, are we going into Gundam territory? I don't know if anybody watches anime, but like.
I used to watch a lot of Gundam. I know you read Evangelion, don't you?
Yes, I'm literally.
Yeah, so I feel like this is the same sort of territory.
Oh my gosh, so good. I love giant robots. Okay. But yeah, so we will post the announcement video for that. I mean, I'm gonna post it on my channel, hopefully very soon for anyone who's interested in getting more info. But yeah, I guess we will all reconvene on Max's channel on November 22nd, I think we said, right? Same time?
Yeah, 22nd.
Woo!
Same
Yay!
time.
Thank you guys so much. This was so fun. This is like my actual first real book club, like per person, like conversation book club, besides watching other people do it on TV. And I'm like, this is so Thank you guys for doing this with me. This is so fun. You guys are the best.
Thank you for hosting the first one. That was pretty cool of you.
Thank you guys. Anyone want to add anything before we go? No. Okay, so anybody who's watching this on my channel, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to follow all of these wonderful people's channels that are here. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching. Okay. Bye. Have a great day. And